Hi there, Brittany here from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we are coming to you from my kitchen sink with not a cooking video. This will never be a cooking channel. I'm not a good cook. I don't like to cook. I'm not interested in cooking, but I can infuse some olive oil. So today we're going to be walking through the steps to make your own rosemary infused olive oil using fresh cut rosemary from your garden. Now, the very first step to making infused rosemary olive oil, after you cut the rosemary, that is to wash it off. So don't skip this step. The rosemary is coming from outside. It's probably got some dirt on it. It's probably got some dead bugs somewhere on it. Might have some cobwebs too. It's the middle of winter here, so I wanted to make extra sure I wasn't taking any cuttings that had any poor little bugs using my rosemary plant as shelter over the winter. And once you're done thoroughly rinsing down your rosemary cuttings, you'll want to shake them dry. You don't have to dry them completely, but get off all of the excess water, just so it doesn't mix too much with the olive oil. Once you've shaken all the excess water off of your rosemary sprigs, you need to grab a little pot. I just grabbed our smallest pot that we have. Kind of depends on the amount of infused rosemary olive oil you're making, but I do recommend making small batches because, as with anything that you are making at home in a non-sterile environment, I do not recommend giving it a very long shelf life. So when I make infused olive oils, I like to make enough that I can store it in the refrigerator and probably use it within about, I'd say, a couple weeks just to be safe. And yes, I do store it in an airtight container in the refrigerator. So right now I'm just taking these longer sprigs and cutting them so that they won't have to bend when I put them into the pot. I'm just putting them in a layer on the bottom of the pot, and then we will add our oil. Now, it doesn't really matter how much rosemary you use. I don't think it's going to contribute too much to the taste if you use a lot, but if you use only a sprig or two, it may not have as full of a rosemary taste. So I like to go a little overboard because I love rosemary. This is what our pot looks like now. So I'd say it's about, I don't know, maybe an inch of rosemary cuttings down there. Now it's time to add some olive oil. So I'm just using some Target store brand 100% extra virgin olive oil. Again, not super picky on this homemade olive oil. When I want the really good stuff, we have in my city here in Frederick, Maryland, we have a shop called Liebhert's Oil and Vinegar Emporium, and they have some absolutely phenomenal infused oils and vinegars. And they do it the right way. They do it the sterile way. So it's a great place to go and get gifts for people. We actually just got a little sampler set of balsamic vinegars from there for Christmas. I love it, but it is pretty expensive. So if I'm trying to stretch my money a little bit farther, I like to make my own infused oils if I can. So right now I just put in, let's see, this is 1/4 of a cup. So I put in 3/4 of a cup of oil in here. I'm gonna go ahead and add in another 1/4 of a cup to round that out to 1 cup of olive oil because I eat a lot of infused olive oils on salads. That's what I like to use as my salad dressing. So again, I would not make more than you think that you will reasonably be able to use in a couple of weeks. Now I've got my olive oil and my rosemary in my little pot, so I'm going to take it over to the stove and put it on the lowest possible setting. So once you've got everything in your pan, just put it on your stove to a very low setting. You can see how low I've got mine. Olive oil has a relatively low smoke point, so you do not want to be seeing your olive oil smoke. You want this to be a slow and low process of infusing the scent and taste of the rosemary into your olive oil. So I would recommend keeping an eye on yours and checking it roughly every 15 minutes to start or so, and give it about an hour on that slow and low temperature. Now the final step after your olive oil has been gently simmering for about an hour is to take it off the heat and take the rosemary out. So I would say just put it through a strainer, but our strainer of like 10 years actually just broke a couple weeks ago and we still haven't gotten another one. So I'm using a pair of tongs to take the majority of the rosemary out here. I'm gonna set it in the sink. And then I'm going to pick out all of the little pieces that have snuck past my tongs. And then I will just dump the olive oil into a container that I can put a lid on and store it in the refrigerator. And again, as for the shelf life of homemade infused olive oils, I like to make only about what I think I can eat in a couple of weeks, because again, this is not a sterile environment that we're making this infused olive oil in, but it's still fine for a couple weeks in the fridge. So that about wraps up the super easy process of how to make your own rosemary infused olive oil at home using rosemary from your garden. Yet another thing I love using rosemary for. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, happy planting.